All right,
Hey,
guys.
we're not letting you get away with it. We're not letting
We're
you.
here with Romeo from LA Video Games, and we got Chris, we got Rick, we got Ricky, we got Bento in the corner, and like I said, we got Romeo on the podcast. Guys.
Yeah, Romeo. We've known Romeo for a long time now.
Yes.
Started out seeing you, pop around the scene as, a store that we all kind of fell in love with. I feel like a lot of people found you because at expos, you at LA Video Games, which is your store, you can get more into, always had like big, immaculate. You weren't like, oh, let me just set up a booth and put some games.
No.
You made like a spectacle, like a store. You're setting up a store almost.
An event. Yeah. I'm blowing up at the events. The reason why I do these big expos and go big, like mega booths or whatever, because there's like, it's weird. When you go to an expo and you find a deal, that's cool. You find a deal. But for me, when you go to an expo and you have an experience where a booth really stands out, you have that impression on you for years. So when I have people coming to my booth, of course I'm gonna give them a deal for sure. I'm trying to push out the inventory, I'm trying to get all the money. I'm trying to wax people here and there.
Let's go. What I do notice too is like, even right before the podcast, I was like, hey, didn't you have like the big Super Nintendo bike? And it's funny you say you leave an impression because I still remember that. It did leave an impression.
Nice.
But with that, I mean, tell us kind of a little bit more like, how many stores do you own? How long have you been in the game? Why are you in the game? I'd love to know a little bit more backstory.
Well, for all the listeners out there on Spotify or whatever channels, my name is Romeo Blackburn. I'm the owner of LA Video Games. I've been in the game retail entrepreneur-wise for 3 years. Just celebrated my 3 years a couple weeks ago.
Brand new.
Nice. Yeah, baby.
You're a youngin'.
You came in hot though.
You did come in hot.
Yeah. And I've been collecting for over 10 years, but I've been doing the buying, selling, trading aspect since 2016. Prior to being an entrepreneur owning LA Video Games, I've been working in the finance sector. I have a bachelor in finance, and I work for a bunch of Forbes 500 companies for over 10 years.
Dang.
So at the height of my career, I was a banker in entertainment in Beverly Hills. So a lot of these movie stars you guys watch on TV, I was their banker. I was Sarah. I was Siri.
Can you name one?
I can. Johnny Depp.
Ooh.
Yeah, Johnny Depp. And that was a crazy one.
Wow. I bet.
I was a Series 6, 7, 8 license, and I started a bunch of companies that were struggling and made sure I made him multi-millions of dollars from my banking background. And so when I transitioned to banker to entrepreneur, I took all that experience with me. So when I opened up LA Video Games, since I had all that background, I hit the floor running because I knew what it took to make a multi-million-dollar company. And that's where LA Video Games is at right now. Wow. But people are probably seeing, oh my God, LA Video Games, 2 stores, 1 in Hollywood. They're seeing all these collabs, all these crazy things. But it really didn't happen overnight. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat equity, a lot of haters along the way,
That's standard for success.
Yeah, it happens.
Like Curtis, why do you have to hear?
Yeah, Curtis was on the front line.
I'm leaving those 2-star reviews. I'm sorry.
And it's been a really rough journey to where it is now, which right now it's kind of coasting and it's cool. I do have my good days. I do have my bad days like everyone else, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. And if people are hearing this and they think, oh my God, he was a Forbes banker, he comes from money. I do not come from money. So I want to say off the back, I was grown up poor. I was raised by a single mom. My mom was Filipina. My dad was Mexican. My dad left the picture when I was young. My mom grew up in the jungles of Philippines.
Wow.
Yeah, like legitly jungles, like swimming in the river, anacondas, jaguars, that type of style.
Wow.
Yeah, straight up. She snuck into this country through a cargo plane through Hawaii and then came into Compton where she met my father and they made a half Mexican, half Filipino baby.
Wow.
Fillican.
Yeah, Fillican, baby. You know, Ricky. I feel it from you.
Romeo was born. Romeo, I have to ask. So I know, and it's funny because you've been talking about this for a while, even to me on a personal level. And I've almost been trying not to ask you too many questions because I knew you were coming on the podcast. You have some stuff going on with like Amazon or Fallout.
Yes.
Can you explain? Because honestly, I was telling you, I'm like, I'm trying not to ask you so much, not because I don't care, because I want to kind of learn about it with the rest of the viewers and listeners.
Yeah. So the Fallout collab came because I have a store in Hollywood, right? So the Fallout show got nominated for a couple Emmys. So for the Emmys, they want to do a whole launch campaign to blow it up even more. So they sent scouts all over the United States, and they went to a lot of video game stores. I think they even went to one of yours.
And they
didn't tell me
Yeah,
that.
but they went secretly.
They told you. I didn't get the gig. Sorry.
Bro, that is so. I thought Romeo was gonna like gracefully try to tread over that.
No way.
But it's like, bro, they visited you and denied.
Right.
Yeah, the inside scoop and
They
everything.
came in undercover then. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they went undercover and they went to all the video game stores. I have a store in Sherman Oaks in the Valley, and they went to every single one of those too, right? So when they were narrowing it down, they narrowed down to 4 video game stores, and I was on that list.
I wonder if I was on the list.
Far from it, my friend.
No holds barred. I love it. Romeo, you fit in real nice here.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
You fit in real good.
So then what happened is that when they were narrowing down these 4 stores, I won't say who they were. The reason why they picked mine is because they liked the location of my Melrose store, right? But then when they went inside, they saw that I had these Fallout statues.
Oh, got it.
You know, I had like this big armor guy and this pit boy, and I brought those out to SoCal, right? So they went in there and they were really amazed by it. And so they talked to me, they had a conversation, and before they finalized this collab, they were like, we want to know some numbers. So they were like, how many customers do you serve on your busy day? So at my Sherman Oaks location on a busy day, a Saturday, we serve once every hour, like about 10 customers, right? But at my Melrose location on a busy day, Saturday, we serve 25 customers every 5 to 10 minutes.
Wow.
So when I told them those numbers, and those are real numbers, they were like, "Oh yeah, you're it." And I'm like,
Is that location like a slamming place where like you can't miss it, or is it just that in that area you're really well known, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Both. It's a really slamming place. Like Pink's Hot Dogs around the corner.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. If you guys collect sneakers, there's a store called Cool Kicks that their YouTube channel, and they're blowing up. Constantly have all the tour buses dropping off people, like a shopping district. So it's just always crazy.
You're in a hot spot.
It's like an
Super hot
attraction, Melrose.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melrose. And
I mean,
and you're next to round 2. Round 2 is another big one too.
I'm right around 2. They do all vintage.
I mean,
You know?
Melrose Place. If you grew up in the '90s, Melrose Place
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to go through, I had to be quiet about this collab for months. For months and months and months. I couldn't speak about it. I couldn't talk about it, even though I was so excited. I was like, I want to the whole world. But I had to stay quiet. It wasn't until they're like, all right, we're going to order 100 copies of Fallout games from you, and you're going to sell it for 33 cents. And I was like, oh, shoot, I don't have 100 copies of Fallout. So I had to really reach, because I knew the studios were going to pay for it. I had to reach out to every single video game store I know. Chris, that's where you came involved.
I helped out. I think I
Yeah,
gave you, how
definitely.
many games did I give
Like
you? Maybe
40.
40.
And they're all
I went
broken
to-
and scratched. Just kidding.
That's why you skip your store.
I did go through every store. Romeo reached out to me and said, hey, he explained to me what was going on.
Yeah.
And you said you needed Fallout games. How many did you say you needed total?
I needed 100. I think
100.
I think it was like 189, something like that. But at least I needed.
Did it have to be a specific Fallout or any Fallout?
any Fallout?
Yeah,
game.
I think I
Got it.
gave you Xbox 360, PS2. Was it PS2? I mean, not PS2.
No,
Xbox
you gave me-
360, PS4,
Xbox
PS3,
One.
Xbox One.
Yes.
I don't think there was a Fallout on PS2.
There was
no,
not.
there was not.
No, were those all from like one location, or did you like go siphon out from your other stores as well?
Just 2 California stores.
Got it.
I siphoned. Yeah, but I had 40 of them. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you helped out other video game stores like OG Video Game Geeks in Anaheim. They helped out.
yeah?
Yeah, they're really nice people. I went to as many people as I could to find video games, and I ended up getting all of them. And in the show Fallout, they live in an underground vault called Vault 33. And I had to sell the games for $3.33. But the studio's gonna pay the difference for whatever it was.
You're like, how's this
Oh,
work out
And,
for me?
and they're like, how much is the game? $40. And they're like,
Dang,
all
you
right,
could have
for
marked
sure.
them all up.
Bro, you should have
I was smart. I was
120.
smart.
Dang.
So, but it was a lot involved. The studios were really up my behind. They were constant on phone calls, on emails, because Bethesda reached out to me too.
Oh,
They said, "Hey, you have this armor statue. Is it legit? Is it fake? Where'd you get it at?" And I had to give them all the details of where it came from, whatever, because Bethesda and Amazon were gonna make these one-of-one signs for each of my statues, which I brought one right here. You guys want to see one?
yeah. You brought a little
Yeah.
display?
Yes, they actually made displays for my statues. So the day of the event, which was only from 2 to 6 p.m., all the games were $3.33, and then they transformed my whole store into Fallout.
What's really cool? Oh, go ahead.
When did this take place? How long ago? When was the
It
day?
was last month,
Last month.
August something. I
August.
forgot. It's all a mishmash. I'm so busy.
And so, what will the footage go like? What were they were filming? I
They were
assume?
filming. They were filming, and they used the footage of my store at the Emmys that just passed this past Sunday.
Oh, so it was in the Emmys.
Yes, yes. We were
And
showing
Romeo
the
got
Emmys.
all of his signs changed. Instead of LA Video Games, said not Retro Games Plus.
So here's one of the signs. Now these signs are specifically made for my stores. There's none other existent. I have the only two in the world.
Wow.
Bethesda made it themselves and Amazon Prime, one for each of my statues.
That's cool.
Nice.
I was supposed to destroy it, wink wink, but I said that they got stolen by a homeless guy, and the one's right here.
Whoa.
Let me see.
Yeah. So here, check it out.
Oh, that's cool.
And then
That's cool, man. That it's just for your thing, though.
and they came in these special stands. So the stands, I didn't want to bring him here because they were too big, but they came on these special stands that go alongside with my statues. But along with some of the games for $3.33, Fallout and Amazon had these special promos. So if you were to buy a game, you got this canteen that came from the Amazon show. You got a Ferris wheel ticket because they transformed the Santa Monica Pier into Fallout.
Yeah.
And you got a special Fallout sticker. And I got one for each of one of you guys right now.
Oh,
really?
Surprise.
gifts.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever
You guys
brought us a
ready?
gift before.
All right.
That's it. More,
Ben,
you're not
I'm
coming
so
back.
sorry. I know
Gallo,
you're in the
not
back.
coming back.
I'm going to hook you up,
Elliot's
Ben,
not
okay?
coming back. Ryan's not coming back. Only one to bring us a gift.
All right, ready? For this one, we'll give one to Curtis.
Kurt.
Oh, Kurto.
Okay. Here is one for Ricky. You have to open up on camera if you guys want to.
Ooh,
Come on.
dang!
I
There's
shouldn't see this.
Here is
Canteen.
one for
Yo.
Chris.
Dang.
One for Chris, but hold on. It's a package.
Wow.
There's more to it.
Put mine on the table over there, please.
Yeah,
I have a-
a
I have
little
a-
display.
Yeah.
Dang, I might put my water in it right now.
These canteens were so popular
Yeah.
that we ran out within an hour. And because people didn't want to buy the games, they wanted the promotional items.
People
Yeah.
love promo items.
They love it so much
Tell
that
us.
people were going crazy for these promo items that there was a crazy line that Amazon had to send some execs to come down and pull out the rest and be like, you guys are done giving them out. Just sell the video games. So when we got that, I was like, code red, put some aside, put some aside.
The next stadium events.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's a sticker that came out. So pass it to Curtis.
Thank you, sir.
Dude, I really appreciate this.
Appreciate
Yeah,
the
yeah,
gifts.
We're going to talk about more collabs that
These will
we've
be
done.
on eBay in an hour.
Okay. And then these Ferris wheel tickets that you see right here were only given to you if you're one of the first customers to come and buy the game. After a while, we couldn't give this Ferris wheel tickets out. And when you went to the Ferris wheel at Santa Monica Pier and they scanned it, they destroyed it. So a lot of people are fighting just for this as a combo package. Here
It's
you go,
still
guys.
good, you think?
Dang.
It's not good at all, Chris.
It's not good. Dang.
Kurt.
Dude, I-
It's gonna head right over
Thank you,
there. after
Romeo.
this,
Yeah,
right?
dude.
You're
Romeo.
welcome. You're welcome.
You know what's really cool too about this, Romeo? Like a lot of times, like it's really exciting that you got to do this. But I will say, sometimes like history goes down and it's like, let's say the show sucked. It didn't.
Yes,
The
it
show
did.
was awesome.
Yes.
The good thing is it was like well received in the community amongst gamers, amongst critics. So I feel like that also just locks it in history. If it was something that came and went, and you're like, oh, that's kind of embarrassing. I was a part of that. It kind of was stupid. This was like a cool thing that like the community all loved. So
It was cool.
Was it more promo for like season 2 coming out, or just for the Emmys?
Just for the Emmys.
Just for the
Just for the Emmys.
I think that's cooler.
And it wasn't only me participating in this collab. Since the show They Live in Vault 33, they picked 33 other businesses to be a part of it too. And there are some big heavy hitter names. Like it was like, I forgot who, Cantor's Deli was in it. They're selling pastrami sandwiches for like 33 cents, It was like Sweetfin was involved.
Oh, nice.
It was like the Griffith Observatory, horseback rides for 33 cents.
Wow.
So it was a big deal. And I'm really blessed and really happy this collab happened because it opened up the doors for more studios to put eyes on my company.
Yeah.
And so like the next collab that we're working on is going to be on The Last of Us Season 2 on the HBO Max.
Wow.
Where they're going to come and transform my store into like an abandoned city.
Dang.
Yeah.
They're like, we actually have to ruin your store.
We're gonna break the glass.
We're gonna tear it apart. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had people calling that day of the collab since like right at opening. You guys, thank you so much. You guys reposted it on your social media channels. So did a bunch of the community. You know, a bunch of community showed up, and we had people lining up out there since like 12 o'clock. And we had to close the store at 1:30 and reopen it back up at 2 and let the line go through. So that was a pretty crazy collab.
That's always going to be a cool story for you too, regardless of whatever.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
How the heck did you have the confidence to go through with all that?
You only live once, man.
Yeah.
You only live once, and when opportunities come up, you have to grab the hole by the horns. What did I say? Right?
What the?
Grab the bull by the boards. Bull by the horns.
Chris is like, and they picked his store.
No, I think it's awesome, Romeo. I was happy to help you out, man. When you told me about it, I was like, dang, that is sick. So, yeah, congrats to you.
Thank you, man.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Heck yeah.
I think what a lot of people don't know about you is like, what do you collect for?
I collect for Nintendo 64. First of all, I'm a huge Nintendo fanboy. Huge. But I'm majoring in Nintendo 64. So I'm 11 away from a complete and box N64 set. And I have a minor and Wii U that I'm going for a full set.
Nice.
So once I graduate from N64, hopefully next year, I'll major in Wii U, and then I'll take a minor
Just
and
skip
Super
the Wii
Nintendo.
U, dude. The Wii U's trash.
Hey.
I love that you're calling it minoring and majoring.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's like I'm going to school for it.
It does feel like that though.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm fully majoring in original Nintendo NES era. So like, I mean, even these guys in group chats were like, okay, this came out here. This is a hotel kit. You're finding all the detailed stuff you would if you were in school about a specific subject.
Oh, for sure.
You're not just wanting dates. You're like, no, let me find the weird and the funky.
Yeah, definitely.
Heck yeah, dude.
Best N64 game for
Best
you.
N64 game
For you,
me?
what's your favorite?
Man, there's so much. I will probably say it's going to be a random game, but it was the first game I ever played on the N64. And it was the only one that my mom could give at that time because we were poor. And it was Quest 64.
Wow. One of the only RPGs.
Yeah.
On the 64.
Played hours on it. Because she went to a pawn shop and she got me an Ice Blue N64. And she saw a bunch of N64s. And it was me, my brother, and sister, and we were brats. So she's like, can you give these guys a game that will take their attention, leave me alone for hours? And the guy's like, oh, this one right here, Quest 64.
Did you like it at the time?
I did love it.
Okay.
I loved it. I fell in love with it. And that's where I got into my N64 journey, you know?
Because I know there's a lot of mixed opinions on that game.
Yeah. It's, don't get me wrong, it's kind of a horrible game, but I love it.
But you learned to love it.
Yeah, I learned to love it.
How did you go from like the banking industry into like gaming was it for you?
Oh man, that's a really good question. All right. When I was in banking and I was in Beverly Hills, I was one of the top private bankers for entertainment. It's like the top of my career. I went through a lot. 10 years of suffering, sacrifice to get to where I was at. And it was 2020 and I was working from home, and literally every single video game store I knew was buying inventory from me. They were hitting me up and they were buying my inventory left and right. And at one point I was like, I think I should just open a store and do it, right? But I was kind of like on the fence of it because I had a really good career, you know. I didn't think video games was going to be worthwhile like that. So I was like, but I said, okay, let's think about it. It was my brother. I'm not the full owner of LA Video Games. The other owner is my brother called Abel.
Is he younger or older?
Older. Now, he's not blood related, but I call him like my brother, just like how you and Ricky are.
Yeah.
Brothers. Exact same thing with Abel. Abel's like, kept pushing me. Let's do it. Because he pushed me to buy, sell, trade. He pushed me to go to SoCal. He kept pushing me along the way. So he's like, let's do it. You're ready for the step. You're ready for the step. One day, I'm getting a haircut at my barber, and I kept talking to him. I'm thinking about opening a store. I'm not too sure. And my brother was like, what kind of store do you want to open? I was like, I'm thinking about opening a video game store. And he's like, video games? I'm like, yeah. So he kept cutting my hair and I kept talking about it. Like, yeah. And he said, if you really want to open a store, why don't you open up one in the center? And I said, what? Yes, a spot just opened up in the center. The guy that owned it before owned it for 20 years. He went out of business because of COVID because he was a shoe repair spot.
Yeah.
So if you want me to put in a good word for you, I'll put in a good word. I said, okay. I looked at the spot. This was the one in Sherman Oaks. And I said, he's like, I'll put you a good word. I was like, okay. So then he calls the landlord. The landlord tells me the rent. And I'm like, jeez. And I'm talking to my brother Abel. I can't say. There's a reason why. He tells me the rent, and I'm like, I don't know. And then my brother came up with this idea. Well, why don't we rent cabinets out inside of our store to cover our overhead?
Yeah.
And I said, that's stupid. I was like, that's not going to work.
Kind of like a flea market method.
Yeah. But he said, look, you ran a bunch of video game events over the past 5 years. You know, a bunch of people in the community. Just send a message out. So I said, okay. I said, how many people do we need to rent out a cabinet? He's like, at least 10. So I said, okay. So I sent a message on Instagram to a bunch of DMs, to a bunch of people. I'm thinking about opening the store. My concept is I'm going to let you allowed to rent a cabinet from me, and you can sell whatever you want. I fell asleep. I just needed 10 people to sign up. The next day I woke up, and I had 30 people signed up.
Dang.
And that's when I said, all right, we're signing this lease. So I signed the lease and I locked it for 3 years.
Wow.
Dang.
But I was still had a career and now started my entrepreneur journey. And where everything switched for me. And I will say that video games have forever changed my life. Because the deal I had with my brother is like, okay, I'll let you own half the company. Just let me keep my job. So there'll be a cash flow because we don't know where it's going to go the first year. And in case we fail, we have a reserve of cash coming in to help us stay afloat. He said, okay. Prior to becoming an entrepreneur, I was smoking. I was drinking. I didn't believe in God, whatever. Did not have a faith. I was just a wild man, hooking up with girls and all that stuff. We were...
A little bit of a flex.
Chris is like, my dream life?
He's like Playboy life right here.
But I was out of control. I was really out of control. Like working deep in Hollywood, seeing all this corrupt stuff. I was like losing myself. And owning my own business was like a little bit of an escape. And I remember we're about to hit the 1 year mark. We're almost there hitting the 1 year mark. And there were still ups and downs in the business. And I was stressing out because I was working like 16-hour days. So one day, I literally got down on my knees and I prayed to God.
Yeah.
And I said, yo, I haven't talked to you in a long time, big man. So I don't have that relationship with you. I'm going through a tough time right now, balancing a business and working full time. Please give me any sign, just any sign that this video game is what I'm doing is really it. Just any sign, I beg of you. That's the first time I prayed to God, like, I think like in 10 years.
Wow.
Right? Literally the next day, he showed me a sign. And that's what changed my whole perspective from banking to full-blown video games.
Wow.
Yeah. You guys want to know what the sign was?
I was going to say, can I know the sign?
Can I guess?
Yes.
Was it a Mario pole?
No.
It's an actual
He
sign.
reminded that a lot later on.
That'll be a forecast.
And YouTube, I used to watch this show called Round 2.
Oh, yeah.
And there is a guy on there named Sean Witherspoon that was buying, selling, trading, but instead of video games, it was vintage. And they got him to blow up to design his own Nike shoe, right? And in the sneaker world, it's one considered one of the best Nike shoes and collectors, and it's going for like over $1,000. I knew who he was. So the day I prayed to God, I said, show me any sign. The next day, I go to work, I'm grinding it out. I'm dealing with a bunch of numbers, a bunch of stress. I go home, I change, I come to the shop. It was half an hour before the shop was going to be closed, and one of the last customers walk in. And who walks in? This guy I watched on YouTube, Sean Witherspoon. this guy travels all over the world. He's doing collabs with Gap and all these people. And I said, what are you? I said, Sean? And he said, hey, what's up, dude? And he brought his kids. I said, whoa. And I said, what are you doing here? And he said, I want to buy a Super Nintendo. So I told my store manager that collects at my Round 2 store, if I were to find a Super Nintendo right now in LA, which video game store would have it? And he said LA Video Games will be the best bet. So I came down here and you have 2 right here. And I said, whoa, thank you. He's like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get those. I'm gonna shop around. He ends up shopping around, getting a bunch of stuff, and gets one of my LA Video Game shirts. And I said, how'd you hear about us again? He was like, my store manager, Ruben, that runs my Round 2 spot on Melrose. He's the one that referred me your way. I was like, wow. He's like, if you ever need anything, here's my number. If you ever come to Melrose, hit me up. I got you. And I said, okay, cool. Lock the store. I'm freaking out. Like, oh my God, that's Sean with us.
You're playing it cool. Yeah.
You know, my brother's like, who?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know who that was. And I'm freaking out.
That dude's a legend.
He's a legend.
I've ran into him before too.
Yeah.
Different story, but I ran into Torgum, the clothing place. When I used to
Really?
yeah, he was in there, just me and Sean one time.
That's cool.
But
That's
he's
so
an
cool.
absolute legend in like reselling because he's done it for so long.
Yeah. Made
Yeah.
$21 million reselling vintage clothing.
Dang.
And
to get his own
crazy
shoe.
collabs. Crazy
Mercedes.
collabs. Yeah.
So when he came in and I saw that lock the door, that's when I realized, all right, thank you.
Yeah, like
That's
what
a
are
pretty
the
good
odds?
sign.
Yeah.
What are the odds of that?
And then that led up to opening me up my Hollywood location next.
Got it.
Did you, because you're located right next to round two.
Yeah.
Was there any collab with Sean? Like, oh, this space is available, Romeo? Like, did you guys stay in touch or anything like that? Or did that space just happen to come available right next to round 2?
Well, how I got that space is that space was available, but we just hit our 1 year mark. So that happened. I met Sean, and then a month later, we celebrated our 1 year. And I said, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
We hit 1 year, let's rock and roll. So after the 1 year mark finished, I want to go down there myself and thank the store manager, Ruben, for sending Sean my
We're
way.
sending him your way.
And when I went down to Melrose, I went right into round 2, and I went to talk to this Ruben guy, but he wasn't there. So I was like, all right. As I walked out, I saw next door was empty. And you know how sometimes you have that gut feeling in you? Like that gut feeling? I looked at it and I said, I think this is my second store. Like, I think this is it, right? And I remember calling my brother Abel, and I was like, hey, I think we're gonna open up a second store right now. And he said, what? I said, I think right now. Because when I was on Melrose, it was jam-packed, people walking up and down, left and right, like cars. And I was like, this is a popping block. I think we're gonna do it right now. He thought I was crazy. I got the phone number. I was still having my banking career at this time, so I had enough of cash flow to support it. So I called the guy and I said, hey, I want this spot. End up getting the spot and then having a second store location.
I think I told you, but I had looked at that spot.
I know you did.
Because I used to go up to, I used to go up to Melrose a lot because of the vintage clothes. I like T-shirts, and so I would be up there all the time at round 2, and I followed them for years. And no, it's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Two for two.
It's a long way from Huntington Beach, and I would have been traveling up to Melrose. It's got to be traffic. Take me 2 hours to get up there.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure, definitely.
So, but we would go up there, vintage hunting, and I saw that spot came available, and I was like, that is a perfect spot for a store. And I remember I think I saw it went so quick. It must have not been available very long because it was, to me anyway, when I saw it, I think it was like a week or two later, it was like, bam, LA Video Games announced they're going. And at the time, I was not like, oh man, I wish. I was not like, oh, I wish I'd gotten that spot. I was actually like, dang, I didn't know you at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoever that dude is super smart for going in right there. So congrats to you on
And
that.
I think once I was opening that location, get waxed, Chris. I think when we opened that location, you're getting ready to open up your Lawndale location right afterwards.
Yeah, because I was in, I think, you get in, for me anyway, when I'm getting ready to open up another store, I have to gain inventory, and there's a lot of going out and looking. So I think at that time I was just kind of in like, maybe I'll do a second store. So I was like, maybe Melrose, maybe Santa Monica, maybe here. And so I had already picked, I think, my Lawndale store. So I was out, but I had looked at that. It's a great spot.
Good try, Chris.
Great spot.
Good try, Chris.
Dang, I
How did
could have
you
had Fallout too. Dang.
And then for everyone listening,
And Last of Us.
the day I met Sean and the day I got that sign is the day I gave up drinking, gave up smoking, and gave my life to Christ.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's the day I met him.
That's the news
day
I like to
changed
hear.
it. I changed
And
it
when did
completely.
you finally like quit your job as a banker? Was it, did you open the second store or did you already quit, or when
I
did
opened my
that-
second store and I still had my banking job. So I had 2 stores, my full-time banking job. But then what really started changing it is that the second I opened my Melrose location, I had a major collab up. Like someone reached out to me. It's like, I want to do a collab with you. And once we did that collab, the following months later, I was like, nah, it's time to leave. And you ready for a second surprise?
Yeah.
All right, here's the second surprise. The first collab before Fallout I did it with a very famous artist named Neckface.
Okay.
And he's a skater. He's sponsored by Baker Skateboards.
Yep.
He's designed some shoes, which I'm wearing right now, called the Neckface SBs. Design stuff for like Vans, Supreme, and all that stuff. So he reached out to me and said, "You're my favorite video game store. I want to do a collab with you." And I got some of the stuff from the collab.
I've seen that he did the t-shirts.
Yeah, for you
That's
guys.
cool.
Yeah.
The t-shirts.
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Got some expectations for
Chris,
the
you
new
never
guest.
given us a thing on the show, bro.
Man, I'm sorry. I'm gonna hook you up. Okay, I promise you get the best one. All right. So we did a collab with Neckface early 2023.
Okay.
And that was right after we opened up Hollywood a couple months later for spring. We launched the Neckface collab. That was the first collab any video game store has done that big to that level with that kind of
I
artist.
thought the same when I saw the collab. I was like, dang, that is super sick that you're
Yeah.
doing a collab like
Yeah,
that.
so-
So kudos to you for that.
Thank you,
Because I don't
guys.
think anybody
Thank you.
had done that
Hey, 3
before.
for 3, right, guys?
Just waxed, man.
So
Slam dunk on him.
No, I love it, man. First off, I love to see people succeed. And your story of all the entrepreneur stuff, I have my own story, how I got into being an entrepreneur and everything. So I love to hear it.
thank you.
Absolutely love it.
So when we did the collab with Neckface, we did it on April 21st, something like that, in 2023. And it was, we released these 2 color shirts, right? So he designed a special shirt. You guys are good. What size are you guys, by the way?
I'm a large.
Large. Got you.
XL.
Got you. Got you.
Large.
Got you.
Oh,
guys ready?
He knew I was fat.
All right. So Neckface designed this thing.
Oh, dude, I remember
yeah,
those.
I
Those
remember
are
this one.
sick,
Yeah.
bro.
And it's
Combat
based
one.
off his favorite video game, which is Mortal Kombat. So that's Scorpion's body, but his artwork onto bleed all over LA video games.
Yeah, it's
now
sick.
these orange shirts,
Yeah.
you could only get it the day of the collab that he was there. So we only had it limited to 144 of these shirts. And the day you bought this shirt, he was there. You got a poster from him, and he tagged up your poster too.
Oh, cool.
That's
So-
awesome.
Dang.
In our reserve, I put a couple, so you guys get a poster too.
What size? What size is it?
Whoa.
Yeah. So I think it's bigger than that.
Oh, I was gonna say.
If you want to open it up, you can open this up. That's a special poster because even though the shirts say LA Video Games, the poster, when you unravel it,
says not Retro Games Plus.
Get waxed. Retro
Oh, that's
his
games.
cool.
original work, and on top
Fatality.
it says Fatality.
That's actually fire.
And on the bottom says LA Video
Dang,
Games
that is
Melrose.
Awesome.
So extra large for Ricky, right?
Yo, yeah.
I got you. Pass that to Ricky. Right there.
Chris is just gonna go. Shh.
Thanks, Krista. Oh, you're
Oh, who's
XLT.
extra large?
Kurto.
Kurto.
Right there, right there.
So
Yep.
There you go, bro.
Not gonna
We
hurt
do
you
not
for a
sell
minute.
these.
Poster is
We
awesome. Like
legally
putting them.
cannot sell these because everything that we sold in orange, the artist had to get. So we put a couple away because the artist was like, if you ever want to give away to the celebrities coming to your store, give them away for them, you know?
Just tell them
Yeah.
we're
So
like.
we have a little bit of a small reserve.
Tell them we're like in a tiny niche of celebrity.
Dude, this is awesome, dude. Appreciate it again.
I always tell my
on
wife.
the back
I'm
says,
famous in
Dude,
certain
Romeo,
spaces.
yeah.
That's awesome,
Here
bro.
you go. That's one for Chris.
Woo!
And then this one's for Riff.
Thank
and
you,
then
sir.
each one
Thank you.
Heck
we'll get
yeah.
a poster. So it was when we did this collab. That's when I
Dang.
knew, dude, I got to quit my banking job because it's about to get crazy. And
You're
then
like
from
things
that
are
point-
going good. Things are moving. This is like real cool stuff.
And from that point on, it went off the wires. From that point on, because from there, so many people saw the store.
What was it like when you quit with your coworkers, right? So you were in the banking business for a long time. Like, were your banking buddies, coworkers, were they all kind of like, wait, what are you doing?
They actually didn't know I was an entrepreneur.
They didn't know you were doing this
I
the whole
did
time.
not tell anyone. I kept it a secret. I did not tell anyone. It wasn't until the very end that they're like, "You own a business?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I do," and I'm out. And they're like, "Good for you."
I know that world. I work also in a a very public place as well. And when they're like, what do you do on the side? And I'm like, video game, like stuff on the, and they're like, huh? Like Fortnite? Like, no.
Yeah, because when I quit my job, I was in real estate, like corporate commercial real estate.
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember telling my boss like, "Hey, I'm I'm done here." You know, kind of had my history of like doing it on the side, and then for me it was very difficult for
Chris,
me,
we
like,
know.
making that transition from that world into the video game world.
Yeah.
And it's actually even taken me years and years and years to fully like become like, this is who I am.
Embrace it in a group of like new men you meet in suits and like, what do you do for a living? I'm like,
It's always still weird.
Yeah.
video games.
And it's always still weird. Like even when you are in a group of like professional people and they're like, oh, do this. I'm an architect. I'm a lawyer. And then you're like, they're like, what do you do? And you're like, oh, I own video game stores.
You're like, look at my shirt, bro. What do you think? Look at my clothing. What do you think, dude?
Yeah.
Right?
They looked at me sideways. They were like, video games? You work in Beverly Hills? I'm like, yeah, I own a video game store. And they're like, okay.
That's when you just throw out a fake number. You're like, dude, I made 17 mil last year.
But I I didn't do that because I was like, but look at all this people that are coming through the store. And then they started seeing it and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't even think that even just the storefront, like even like kind of puts that as an example of like how many people come like to your store. It's more of like how many people that are influential that don't talk about it, but then just show up. Like, like even I think at Elliot's store, he had Chance the Rapper just come by at a rant.
And the guy from, even though he knows him, one of the dude from Stranger Things, Pastor Doichi, the high guy who gets high on
Oh,
Stranger
yeah.
Things.
I know what you're talking about.
He comes by a lot. And it's just fun to see those kind of people pull through in the scene.
And then it's surprising enough to see some of these people that are very like influential, right? They have millions of people, followers, stuff like that. It catches me off guard when they come to the store and they're actually gamers.
Oh, yeah.
And
that
they-
happened in SoCal a lot.
Oh yeah, like a couple
A
people
lot of
like
celebs are just popping in.
I was like, Riff, take a picture with that person.
I'm like, who is that? Who is that? He's like, he has millions of followers. Go follow him.
Yeah.
Take a
Yeah.
picture. I'm like, okay, I guess. But yeah.
And then when you start talking to them sometimes in video game language and they're talking back to you, I'm like, ooh, okay.
They know their stuff.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.